Hello friends, in this video I'm going to explain what is the overriding and what are the different access modifiers that are applicable. So let me start with the definition. So when can we call that method is overriding? So whenever we write the method in a parent class and we are not satisfied with that particular implementation and we want our own implementation of that method, so we simply write our own class and which extend from that parent class, and we write it down the same method name, but in this method name we implement our own logic. So at that time we can say this process is called as overriding. So whenever the child is not in simple word, when child not specify with the parent information with the parent implementation, so we simply override their method in the child class with our own implementation. So you can see from this example, in the parent class we have the public void car, but the child class it's extend from parent. So but the child is not satisfied with that parent car, so he or she wants his own car. So you simply write it down that method and implement is. So this method is called the overriding method, and in the parent method we can call it the overridden method. So whenever we create the parent reference and parent object and we call the car method, it's simply called a method in the parent class. And whenever we create the child reference and child object and whenever we call the method m1, then it's called the child class method. But this is the main important thing. Whenever we write down the parent reference and child object, and whenever we execute the p.card method, so you can think that it executes the parent method, but we already discussed about that. But no, the method resolution is always based on the runtime object, even if it is a parent reference. But at the runtime JVM will check it, the object is a child class. So but and we override this method in the child class. So first it will check method if this method is available in the child class. So yes, there will be one method with the same name. So first it will execute in the child method. So this we can call as a runtime polymorphism and also like dynamic binding. So in overriding, there is one rule: the method name and the argument types must be matched. It's not like overloading. Method name is same, but the argument type is different. But in overriding, with the both method name and the method signature must be the same. So let me discuss the covariant return type in overriding. So the child class method return type need not be same as the parent method return type. So you can see from the example, in a child class we have the method with the return type string, but in a parent class you can think that we have the same method return type, but we have the object return type. But object is a parent of the string class, so we can say that it's a covariant return type, and we can easily write this code and it will easily execute. So you can see the modifiers. The parent class method return type is object. Then we can easily in the child class we can get any return type because object is the main class. Whenever the parent class method return type is a number, then we can get the number or integer. If it is a string, and if in the child class we are going to get the object return type, then it will throw the compile time error because it's not we cannot convert from child to parent. And the covariant return type it's not applicable for the primitive data types. So whenever it's double integer, it's going to throw the compile time error. So let me discuss with the different modifiers in overriding. So first modifier I'm discuss with the private method. Whenever you define the private method in a parent class, its method is not available in a child class or any class because it's a private. And whenever you're trying to implement that same method with the name in a child class, so this one is not called the overriding. We specific define the method per every class. So whenever we try to execute using the private, we lost the overriding features. Whenever we write the final method, final is the keyword that I'm going to discuss in the next session. But right now, whenever we define the final with the method, we cannot override in a child class, even we extend from the parent class. So if we define the method with the same name, it cannot say that override the we cannot override the final method. It's the abstract. Whenever we define the abstract method in a parent class and we extend from in a child class, so we have to give the implementation of that class. But if you don't want to give the implementation, then you simply in the child class you write it down the abstract method, and if you write it down the abstract method, that class by default is going to be called as an abstract method. So this is the modifiers. If the parent class method is a final, then in a child method return type, if it is a non-final and final, it's going because final. If we define the final keyword, then we cannot override the method. If it is a non-final in a parent method, but in a child method we can write it down the final. It's simply it's legal. But if it is abstract and non in also in abstract or non-abstract, we can define any return type in parent or child. It also applicable for synchronized and non-synchronized. So in public protected, default, and private, if we define the public method in a child class and if we define the default in a child class and the public in a parent class, then we get the compile time error, because we can increase the modifier but not decrease the modifier. So the increasing or the decreasing order is like public, protected, default, and private. So if we define the public, that is the top modifier. So we only define the public in a child class. So if we define the protector in a parent class, then we have to we can define protected or public. If we define the default in a parent class, then we are going to execute like protected, default, and public. And the private is not applicable for the overriding method. That's already we discussed. Also, the exception main concept I'm going to discuss in the next sessions. But right now, you can simply understand that there are two types of exception: the checked exception and the unchecked exception. Unchecked exception, we can say that it's a compile time, and unchecked is the runtime. The child throws the in the child method it throws the some checked exception. Then it compulsory the parent method throws the same exception or the parent exception. So in also if the child method is throws the unchecked exception, we don't have to worry about the parent class checked exception. It's simply it's legal. So about the exception, I will discuss. So let's it's you have to just simply clear the idea about the exception. If the child method throws the unchecked checked exception, then in the parent method we should throws the same exception or its parent. If it is child method throws the unchecked, then simply in the parent class it's not we have don't have to worry about it. In a static, if we define the static method in a parent class and if we don't define the method in a child class with the static modifier, then a static is a class level method and it executes with the class name. We don't have to write it down the object to execute it. So it will get the compile time error that overridden method is static. So overridden means it's in a parent method. Now, if we define the static method in a parent class and the same method in the child class, so this is called as a method hiding. We are not doing any overriding in this one, so it's simply called as a method hiding. So I hope this video can help you to understand what is the overriding and what are the different access modifier that we can use in method overriding. So see you in the next one.